Russia is stopping its supply of natural gas to Finland following the country's refusal to pay for its energy supplies in roubles. Now, Finland's state-owned energy firm said the move was regrettable, but assured its customers there'll be no disruptions. Last week, the country also announced it is applying for NATO membership in response to Russia's war in Ukraine. Well, for more on this, I want to bring in Henry van Heijnen now. He's a Finnish foreign policy analyst and advisor to the opposition National Coalition Party. Good evening to you. Welcome. To begin with, it seems that Russia may have taken a retaliatory move against Helsinki for applying to join NATO, saying that it will cut off gas. Can Finland cope, and how will it make up this shortfall?
Well, I think the short answer is yes, Finland can cope. I mean, we saw a similar move with electricity supplies and cutting them off to Finland. But as with the electricity, so is the same with gas. That Finland is actually not dependent on Russian gas in the sense that gas accounts only for about 5% of Finland's annual energy consumption. And Finland can be acquiring gas from other sources such as the Baltic Connector pipeline through Finland and Sweden. And also Finland just announced that it has agreed to a 10-year charter with a floating LNG terminal from the US. So these are all risks that people were aware of when we decided to join NATO, and we are very prepared for them. So they should not be a big of a problem for Finland at this point.
Well, on the topic of NATO membership, there is a call scheduled tomorrow between Finland and with Turkey's Recep Tayyip Erdogan. We know that he will likely be wanting concessions. He'll want something to tout back at home. What can Finland offer, do you think, in terms of concessions?
Well, I think it's important to understand that until the first statements after Finland's public announcement to join NATO, the statements by President Erdogan, before that, all the messages from the Turkish side to Finland about joining NATO were very positive, and the notion of Finland joining did not seem to be causing a problem. So I think right now we're going to go through a diplomatic exercise with the Turks. We've done that already with the Americans as well. And I think right now we do see demands by Turkey. We were, of course, expecting that some member states might have some concerns that they want to raise as Finland announced the desire to join NATO. But I think it's nothing that we can't overcome. I think, of course, we've seen Turkey talk about arms exports, lifting bans on them. We see Turkey raising the issue of its concerns about PKK, for example. And I think we should all be aware of that. Finland does not support, of course, terrorism, and Finland has called out PKK as a terrorist organization in that sense. So I think what we are going to see is a diplomatic discussion. It might take some time, and I think it yet remains to be seen what is enough for Turkey to make it feel that its worries have been listened to. But I think at the end of the day, we will find a suitable solution for this as well.
Right. Henry, I want to ask you this last question briefly, if you don't mind. Finland's been invaded twice in its history already by the Soviet Union, but it hadn't joined NATO as of yet. So why now?
Well, I think it's something that we must understand, that the sort of mood at the end of the Cold War, we thought that it would be the end of history, that we would no longer see great wars in the European continent. So I think the sentiment in Finland was that we might not actually need a NATO membership in the world that we are facing right now. But of course, at the same time, we must remember that Finland started its NATO partnership right after the end of the Cold War, also joined the EU, and never dropped the ball on national defense. So at the same time, while we were trying to prepare ourselves for a more peaceful world, we still maintain a close partnership. And I think it's the biggest shift came about due to Russia's aggressive behavior. Finns for a long time seemed to seek to have a pragmatic relationship with Russians, but right. I think after the attack, we realized it was going to be difficult.
We'll have to leave it there, but for now, Henry van Heijnen, a Finnish foreign policy analyst, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.